Good afternoon, everybody. It is week 2, or the end of week 2 of fantasy football, heading into week 3, which the people that are familiar with the league that have been in it, they know what that means. For those that are new into the league, I will explain that at the end of the video to keep you hanging. Or someone will probably just post it in the comments on the fantasy football page, and you won't have to watch the video. But I think you should watch it anyways, because this is week 2 preview of week 3, as well as power rankings after week 2. So let's go over a few things on how the divisions are stacking up after 2 weeks. Is there any separation, or are we kind of still all jumbled together? I think we kind of are, obviously, after 2 weeks. But I just kind of want to give my opinion on how each team is doing. We are going to start in the food conference, the Sizzly division. Right now, Jason is 2-0 and leads that division. And you wonder how? Well, pretty much Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott has been very good for Jason. And he obviously has Christian McCaffrey as well, who didn't have a good week last week, but obviously will be someone he can depend on. Hope to see if he wants to bring in that division title and stay atop the division for the rest of the year. My one question about Jason is his bench, including the person he just bid a lot of money for, Josh Allen. Why? You already have Dak Prescott. You already have Kyler Murray on your bench, and yet you bid a lot of money for Josh Allen. Something tells me Hinkleday's pretty pissed at you right now because you have 3 quarterbacks on your team, and you pick the best one off the free agent waiver wire, and his quarterbacks are struggling so far because he didn't pick one until the last round. Yeah, Jason, I don't understand your pick, but you are 2-0 somehow. We'll get to where I think your team stacks in the power rankings later in the video. Christina's 1-1 after winning her first premier match here in the Wawa Runs Fantasy Football League. She did fall this week. She has 222 points in the first 2 weeks, so is averaging 111 points. Not too terrible. Her team is going to hinge on Hopkins and Brady. Those are going to be the 2 people that have to carry her if she wants to make the playoffs. And the other thing is when Tevin Coleman comes back from injury, it seems like San Francisco is going to try to run the ball as much as possible. So when he comes back, if he can stay healthy, that would be another staple of her team. And also to see if Miles Sanders can improve his role on the Eagles as the year goes along. At 0-2 in the third place in that division is Shane. In his first year, he is starting off 0-2, unfortunately. He does have Saquon Barkley. My question to him is, besides Saquon, you have Edelman and Brandon Cooks on your bench. Maybe it's a matchup thing. For me, they both should be in the starting lineup as of right now, especially on your team. The other thing is you also have 3 quarterbacks. Why do we have 2 teams that have 3 quarterbacks on the roster? Either one also doesn't have any on IR. They're just literally on the roster. Whatever. So we move on. We go to the lunch division to another 2-0 team in first place. That is Dozer's team. His team has very consistent players and 1 player that is just on another world from every other quarterback in the NFL right now. That, of course, is Patrick Mahomes, who I think is leading Dozer's team, along with a bunch of people that I think are going to be consistent all year long. Adam Jones, Chris Carson in the running back situation, very good for Dozer. Amari Cooper, Galladay is his wide receiving core. Jason Kelsey, and he also has Emmanuel Sanders, who has had a hell of a start to the year, even with Joe Flacco at quarterback. He's the 3rd highest fantasy rated wide receiver so far. So Dozer's team overall is just consistent to start and looks like it will stay that way for the rest of the year, as long as Jones can stay a consistent running back for Dozer. Paul had a big bounce back week after week 1. He's now 1-1. He has 254 points for the first 2 weeks. So he put up a big week this last week, having the most points in the division, which would be good for this upcoming week, which we'll get to in a second again. The question with Paul's team is, after getting Lamar Jackson and having phenomenal pass catchers from Odell Beckham Jr. to Devontae Adams, to the Ravens tight end who's been phenomenal so far, can his running backs hold together this team enough to get to the playoffs and get to a title run? His wide receivers are good. His quarterback in Lamar Jackson, who just got through a trade, should be good. The question is, will his running backs be good enough? Time will only tell. Again, he's sitting at 1-1. Rob is 0-2. He's got inconsistent running backs so far. So we'll see what he does going forward. He is 0-2 and struggling right now to try to find a win, but he did lose, unfortunately, to 2 teams that have scored a lot of points. Rob has had 286 points scored against him in the first 2 weeks. That would be best for the second best scoring team in the league if you're playing against Rob by only 1 point. 286 points scored against Rob so far. So a little unlucky. I think Rob's team is better than 0-2. Then we move to my team, who is ahead of the Drink Conference half-gallon tea division. I have 287 points, so again, only 1 point higher than the points that have been scored against Rob so far. My running backs are solid. I have Zeke, I have Gurley, and I have Nick Chubb. The question is, when will Gurley stay healthy, and when the running back who is suspended for Cleveland right now, Kareem Hunt, when he comes back, will it affect Nick Chubb? The other thing, I've gotten lucky with my defenses. I had the Jets in week 1. They got me 27 points, and, well, the Patriots last week got me almost 40 points from a defense. Second highest score in all of fantasy was my defense last week. I can't count on that, so my team has to continue to go strong. The question is, did I make the wrong trade as well? I traded Lamar Jackson away because I had Deshaun Watson. Was that a mistake? And, of course, the wide receiver improvement I got back in return, Alshon Jeffrey, got hurt this week. So we'll see how that goes. Was the trade a good idea for me or not? I do like the tight end I got in Waller, but time will tell. Tim is 1-1. He has a lot of question marks on his team. T.Y. Hilton without Andrew Luck, will he be consistent? And a bunch of other people. Carson Wentz, will he be consistent? The first half has been difficult for him. And then a bunch of other people on his team that are going to have some situations that are going on, like Thomas without Drew Brees for a few weeks. So we'll see what happens with Tim's team. A lot of question marks, but he is at 1-1 and did pull out a victory this week after losing to me in week 1. Balky's team will come down to Antonio Brown. Will Antonio Brown stay on the field all year? Will he get suspended? Will he go off the world into outer space? Who knows with him? Because right now, Balky has a consistent running game with Le'Veon Bell. His second running back is a little questionable because it's either Tariq Cohen or Philip Lindsay. So it's going to be questionable who is going to hold up behind Le'Veon Bell and his running backs. But time will only tell. In the drink coffee division, Jeff is somehow 2-0. Jeff has the second least points scored in the whole entire league with only 225, yet has squeaked out with 2 wins in a row. He's only had 214 points scored against him, which would be the lowest scoring team if you just count the 2 teams that played against Jeff so far this season. This week he will have to play Saul, so it's going to be a step up. Maybe. We'll see. Saul's team has not been that well either. It looks like he needs some people to step up, like Mike Evans, who hasn't showed up yet. So the question is, he has DK Metcalf on his bench. Will Mike Evans continue to struggle, as well as his quarterback situation? I think Jeff was hoping to grab a quarterback late, in particular Lamar Jackson. He wasn't able to do that, and now he has rotated between Jameis Winston to Ben Roethlisberger, who got hurt, and now back to Jameis Winston because, again, Jason, some reason, wound up grabbing the guy from Buffalo, whose name escapes me right now. Why, we still don't know. But again, we'll see how Jeff does without a quarterback. But again, he is 2-0. He's gotten lucky the first 2 weeks, and that might help him propel him to the playoffs. Zach is 1-1. He went from the highest score team last week to losing to Jeff this week and not putting up very many points. Mixon has been a disappointment because of an ankle injury. Robert Woods has been inconsistent. Aaron Rodgers still hasn't clicked in his new offense. So 1-1 though, so not too far behind. The one shocker, one of the strongest teams coming into the season because of his keepers at 0-2. Alvin Kamara has not been Alvin Kamara, at least last week for Saul. So will he get back on track? As well as some other people like Kittle. Kittle has not had a strong start, but he is getting targeted. So we'll see if he can bounce back for Saul. So that's how the divisions stack up after 2 weeks. Let's get to the power rankings, the most important part of the power rankings. In 12th place right now, by scoring only, I have Christina in last place. Like I said, it's up to Tom Brady and DeAndre Hopkins, but I have her in 12th right now because she has the least points in the league. I have Shane in 11th because it is his first year and he's 0-2. Balky is also 0-2, and outside of Le'Veon Bell, really has nobody on his team. Saul is 0-2. I have him at 9th. Rob, I actually, even though he's 0-2, I have some good feelings that Rob might bounce back. In 7th, I have Jeff. because he has the second lowest points in the league, even though he's 2-0. His team is not performing right now. I mean, obviously that will change. Jeff knows what he's doing in fantasy, but I can't put him higher than 7th because he has the second lowest points in the league. Now we get to who would make the playoffs in power ranking form. Jason, I guess, like I said, I don't understand his team structure, and somehow he's 2-0 just like Jeff. It doesn't make sense why he's 2-0, but he's there. And then I have Zach at 5. He's 1-1. He did put up a crazy amount of points in the first week, and I think if Joe Mixon gets healthy, his team could be pretty formidable. At 4, I have Tim's team, who barely lost to me in week 1, barely squeaked out a win in week 2, so Tim's been decently consistent, at least scoring-wise. He does have 247 points, so he's a little higher than everybody else. And then Paul, who was the worst team in week 1 points-wise, bounces back with a huge week. I think now having Lamar Jackson, I have him at 3rd in the power rankings. So top 2, the only 2 teams that have been consistent through 2 weeks with actually scoring a decent amount of points is mine and Dozer's. I have Dozer number 2 right now and me number 1, but honestly I could flip-flop them either way. The only reason I have Dozer number 2, I think my bench is slightly stronger, but not by much after trading away Larry Fitzgerald and now Sean Jeffrey getting hurt. But I have myself at number 1. We'll see if I can keep depending on my defense. I mean, the Patriots' schedule in the beginning of the season is really weak, so maybe I can. Now to preview Week 3's matchups. Zeke versus Zach. It's a brotherly matchup this week. Only time we'll face each other all year long. Rob will take on Christine. Both of them needing wins very badly, especially Rob at 0-2. He can't fall to 0-3. I think the premier matchup of this week is Paul versus Dozer. They are in the same division. The winner of this will take over the lead in the division because of head-to-head matchup. And Paul's team, like I said, has bounced back. They're 2 of the top 3 teams, I think, in the league right now in potential scoring. Balky needs a win bad, and Tim wants to stay up to pace with me, so they will face each other. This is the final week of divisional matchups until the last 3 weeks of the season, so they'll face each other. Jason and Shane will face each other. I hope Shane gets his first win. Like I said, I don't think Jason belongs at 2-0. Unless his team jumps up, I really don't think he belongs at 3-0. So I'm rooting for Jason or Shane in that one to get his first win. And last year's championship game rematch, Jeff versus Saul, the first time of the 2 times they'll face each other this season. We'll see what happens there. Jeff is at 2-0, Saul's 0-2, but honestly, Saul's scored more points so far this year, so I think it's a pretty even matchup. Excited to see what happens in Week 3, as well as the Eliminator. The Eliminator has Week 1 of the Eliminator this week. So for the 2 people who haven't played in the league before, what that means is every week, the lowest scoring team will get eliminated from the Eliminator contest. The winner at the end of the year of the regular season will get $80. And that will be determined every week. Whoever scores the least amount of points will get eliminated until there's only 2 teams remaining. Also, if you're the top finishing team with the most points in the league, you will get immunity for the next week and prevent you from being eliminated. So 10 weeks of that, 11 weeks of that to see who will be the Eliminator champion, the regular season title that we give out every year. Something we added a few years back that I think has added a lot of fun to it. So that Week 1 is this week. So if your team stinks this week, it's not the week you want it to stink because you'll be the first person out of the Eliminator. Watch me be that person. So that's all the wrap up for Week 2. Heading into Week 3, I'll talk to you next week.